Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. I hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you are. My name is Ksenia and I make videos for people who, like myself, are going through the family-based immigration process. I'm not an immigration attorney and my videos are not to be used as immigration advice. They are based purely on publicly available information, my own experience, and experience of my subscribers. The purpose of my channel is to give you guys the confidence to go through this process completely on your own. So, in today's video, we're going to talk about permanent residents receiving public benefits, whether or not you can do it, and what are some of the things you should know before you apply for any kind of public benefit. As you may know, before you apply for a green card and before you receive your green card, uscis, or Department of Homeland Security, needs to make sure that you're not likely to become a public charge. Being a public charge basically means whether or not you're likely to become primarily dependent on government assistance by receiving public benefits. However, there tends to be a lot of misunderstanding in receiving public benefits after you have become a permanent resident. Let's first talk about what public benefits are. Public benefits are benefits which are either given to the needy in cash or providing them any kind of other assistance from the government if they're not able to support themselves. Federal, state, and local governments have a variety of different government assistance programs that allow people to receive these public benefits. Each program depends on the type of need that you have. So for example, if you do not have enough money to provide for your family for groceries, that is one type of public government assistance you can receive, is by applying for something known as food stamps, for example. Or if you do not have enough income to cover your rent or be able to find appropriate housing, that is another type of public government assistance you can apply for. And there's many different types. There's medical assistance. So there's a variety of different programs. And if you are interested to read on different types of public benefits, what they mean, and how they work, there are two wonderful sources specifically for immigrants that I personally found useful and I used in preparation for this video. And I will also link them under this video. One of them is nolo.org and another useful site is keepyourbenefits.org, and that one explains exactly what the public benefits are, how they work, how to apply for them, how to find these programs, etc. There is also an online guide on the keepyourbenefits.org site that will help you figure out whether or not the public charge rule applies to you and what kinds of benefits you may be eligible for. If you are not yet a permanent resident, if you are, for example, undocumented, or if you are on DACA, or if you have any kind of other type of status in the United States, you can use that guide to figure out whether or not public charge rule applies to you. To answer the question whether permanent residents are eligible to receive public benefits, generally speaking, the answer is yes. The issue lies with how soon can you receive them and what specific requirements you must meet first before being able to receive these benefits. There is a fear of applying and receiving public benefits as a permanent resident because, as you know, when you are applying for the green card in the first place, your sponsor, which for the most part is the petitioner, but even if it's your joint sponsor, is required to sign something known as Affidavit of Support. And so a lot of people are afraid that by receiving public benefits that they may potentially affect their sponsor. And so I want to talk about specifically the role of the Affidavit of Support in this entire process. The Affidavit of Support is the contract between that sponsor and the US government, stating that they are financially responsible for you and they will maintain you above the poverty guidelines so that you don't become a public charge. And the Affidavit of Support is also a legally binding contract that states if the government ever requests that any public benefits that have been paid out to the intending immigrants must be paid back for whatever reason, that the sponsor who signed the affidavit of support will be financially responsible by paying back any money that the government requests. The affidavit of support obligations end only when either you as a permanent resident become a U.S. citizen, which for most permanent residents will be available within the 5 years of you receiving your green card, or if the intending immigrant has earned at least 40 quarters of Social Security Administration coverage by working in the United States for approximately 10 years and paying into the Social Security Administration by getting those taxes deducted from you with every paycheck. The obligations may also end for the sponsor if you lose your permanent resident status or if the intending immigrant in question passes away. And the reason why I'm mentioning the end of these obligations will make sense later in this video. The process of applying for government assistance is a very lengthy one and requires a lot of paperwork and a lot of evidence. When analyzing your financial situation to make sure that you are indeed eligible for public assistance, the government will consider all of your sources of income and financial supports. And this is where the affidavit of support form comes into play. When the permanent residents apply for public assistance, the caseworker, the person reviewing your case, they will verify that you indeed are still a permanent resident. They will verify how long you have been a permanent resident, and they will verify if anyone has signed an affidavit of support for you. And the income listed on the affidavit of support, the income of your sponsor, will be a contributing factor to figure out whether or not you are eligible for public assistance. If you go and explore different government programs, if you go and explore the sources that I put under this video, you will see that different types of programs, majority of them will require that you have been a permanent resident for at least 5 years and that you have earned at least 40 quarters of SSA coverage. So what does earning 40 quarters of SSA coverage actually mean? You earn credits by working in the United States and by paying taxes into the Social Security Administration with every paycheck. And the reason why they're called 40 quarters is because in a year we have 4 quarters and you can earn up to 4 credits for 1 credit per quarter a year. And by being required to have at least 40 of those credits, for the most part, it means that you have been working in the United States for at least 10 years. In some cases, if your US citizen spouse or parent has already been working, these credits can also count towards your eligibility to receive public assistance. However, that is something that you should be talking through with the caseworker that will be helping you figure out whether or not you are eligible for public benefits. And like I mentioned earlier, a lot of these public assistance programs do require that you have been living in the United States as a permanent resident for at least 5 years and have earned 40 quarters of coverage. And so if you look at the affidavit of support form, your affidavit of support, so your sponsor's obligations, end when you have earned these 40 quarters of Social Security coverage. That means that you as a permanent resident, you can freely apply for these public benefits. That there are some programs, such as medical programs, for example, or child assistance programs that do not require for you to have been a permanent resident for 5 years or do not require that you have earned these 40 quarters of coverage. And generally speaking, being a permanent resident and receiving public benefits does not affect your chances of naturalization. A lot of people get very scared to either apply for public benefits in the first place or applying for naturalization because they have received any kind of government assistance. Public charge rule does not apply to most permanent residents. If you are eligible for the government assistance program that you are applying for, that means that you have most likely already met the conditions for that affidavit of support to be no longer needed for you. In this case, you really shouldn't have any fears for applying for these programs. Keep in mind that simply qualifying for these public benefits is not enough. Whatever the criteria, whatever the requirements are for you to qualify for these public benefits, you must maintain the same criteria throughout the time to continue your eligibility for these public benefits. So in most cases, you will be required to provide proof of your continuous need to the government agency that's providing you this assistance every few months to every year. In addition, you as a permanent resident must maintain your residence in the United States to continue your eligibility for public benefits, meaning you cannot leave the United States for more than 6 months and continue to receive the public benefits. If you are planning to be absent from the United States for more than 6 months, you should notify the appropriate government assistance program to let them know that you're leaving the country. Otherwise, if you leave the United States for more than 6 months and you do not notify the US government and you continue to receive the public benefits, in this case, your receipt of these public benefits actually becomes illegal. If the government feels at any time that they have been paying out benefits to you erroneously or illegally, they may request this money to be paid back directly by you or by the sponsor who has signed the affidavit of support for you. However, if you follow all the rules, if you are truly eligible for these benefits, then you should have no fears in applying for these public assistance programs. Definitely explore each program, explore the website and requirements for each program. One thing I would say though is when you're applying for any kind of medical public benefits, you definitely should read into different types of medical assistance you can receive, such as coverage due to age or disability, or maybe coverage due to a very extraneous medical expense, such as a surgery. There's different levels to medical assistance, and depending on what kind of permanent resident you are, you may be eligible to these kinds of medical benefits. But again, you have to explore with each individual agency, with each individual program, to see if you truly meet the criteria. But again, as a permanent resident, you shouldn't be afraid to at least try to apply for these benefits. And trying to apply, even if you are denied, does not affect your chances of naturalization. I hope that you found this video useful. I hope that this explanation was clear. If not, definitely check out the sources that I will list under this video to give yourself a little bit more time to understand how the system works. So please subscribe to my channel, give this video a thumbs up if you found it useful so more people can see it, and I hope to see you in my next videos. Bye!